we have Sruthi Swaminathan with us yet again, and she is going to be demonstrating a spicy beef udon noodle dish. So I am very excited for this. I am a huge fan of anything noodles, and she's got her new mascot with her. Definitely
Yara.
Up the kitchen at the end.
We just adopted her from the anti-cruelty. She's super sweet, so she's gonna be like lingering around here. I've been trying to get her not to eat the onions and stuff because I know that's not great for them, but she's here, so you might see her like in the background at some point. All right,
it's like the cutest Roomba you've ever seen.
Oh, here, my aunt just joined. Get out there, look at Yara.
Oh, hi, Yara. She's so cute. Is she going to cook today?
Yeah, she's going to be lingering for sure.
Sous chef today.
Yeah, she is. All right.
Okay, so you ready?
All right, let's get started. Thanks, guys, for coming. What I'm going to make today is one of my favorites. I hope I don't say that for all of them, but really the things I suggest to Christine that I could show are the ones that I really enjoy eating and enjoy making. So yeah, I'm going to show you this. And then after I actually made this before and posted it on my Instagram, a bunch of people were like, what is that? How do I make it? And so I figured this would be a good thing for a class. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to potentially make two things today, but
we'll see how the time goes. Yeah.
We'll see how the time goes. So what we're making today is a spicy beef udon noodles. And little background on my experience with making any kind of Asian food. When I say Asian, I mean non-Indian Asian food. I've not been great at it for many, many years. And I realized it was a combination of one, substituting ingredients, which I do often, but doing that when I don't understand the cuisine and don't understand kind of the flavor profiles of that go together. As you guys know, if you've joined my previous classes, I'm not really a stickler for recipes and stuff, but I think it helps to have a foundation of what flavors go well together for that cuisine. The other thing is, I'm also a fan of kind of prepping my ingredients as I cook. Okay, Yara's biting on my apron. Yara, there's no eating the apron. Okay, sorry. I'm also a fan of kind of like prepping the ingredients as I cook, which you can't do for stir fries. You can't do for a lot of Asian cooking because you need the stuff to cook quickly at a high heat to maintain some of the texture of it. So we're gonna get started with this. I'm gonna show you the recipe. I'm gonna show you the ingredients first, and then I'll start cooking. Okay, so what you're gonna look at is just this first bit here. Let me move this out. Okay, so you're just looking at this first bit. So what I have here is everything you're gonna need for this. The beef is in the fridge. I'm gonna pull it out at the last second. So what I have here is a really large purple onion that I've sliced. I have grated ginger, grated garlic, and green chilies, which are actually super, super spicy. But I wanted this dish to be spicy, so there's that. I have the white and light green parts of 2 to 3 scallions that I've just diced up here. I also have some red pepper flakes for heat. And then I have a sauce here, which is a mixture of, yes, I will send the recipe out soon. I have a sauce here, which is a mixture of, let me look at my notes, soy sauce, fish sauce, sriracha. And that's basically what's in here. And you'll see there's not too much in here. There's some dark soy and some light soy, and that's really for the color. And you're not gonna need too much of that. And then finally, I have these 2 packets of udon noodles. So I found these in the fridge section. Oh God, sorry guys.
We're down.
I found these in the fridge section of H Mart. There's an Asian grocery store by me. I'm in the West Loop, it's there. And yeah, I like them this way because then I can just kind of dunk them in some warm water or some boiling, simmering water for a little bit. to get them to kind of cook up. You don't really need to cook them for too long. You don't want them to get mushy. The worst thing in this dish is the mushy noodles.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's H Mart.
so to get started, sorry, what was that?
There's also H Mart in the northwest suburbs. So
in the northwest suburbs, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's get started. What I have here, let me move this here first. I'm going to start off, as I start off most of my recipes, which is by sauteing some onions. And this is again because I love onions. I used to know people that like, I think we talked about this, Christine, people that like didn't like onion and garlic. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you or what your quality of life is. Because if you don't like onions and garlic, like what are you doing?
That's okay. I know it's for some people it's allergies, but it's like, oh, I love onions and garlic myself. But
okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm first going to put some oil in here. Looks like a lot, kind of is, but like it's a stir fry.
You gotta
so I'm gonna let that warm up a little bit, and then what I'm going to actually do is saute my onions in here first, and then I'm going to bring the beef out. So while this warms up, I'm just going to go get the beef out of the fridge. I'll be right back.
Fabulous.
Okay, so I have the beef here. If anyone has any suggestions on when you use kind of leaner beef versus when you use like the higher fat beef, let me know. For a while, I only used to get like the 96 lean, 4% fat or something, but then I found that 80-20 is actually really delicious. So I don't know why I'm not using that.
Yeah, and if you're going to be cooking if you're going to be braising things or using anything longer, you're going to want to use higher fat, of course. But
okay, yeah, I think this is like an 85-15 or something. All right, so in this wok, there's actually a non-stick wok. I know you get like, I'm going to call them stick woks. I guess just non-stick wok. Like the metal woks, I guess you can use that too. This is just what I have. If you don't have a wok, you can still make this. Just use a really big kind of saute pan or a really big kind of pot that you can cook, not pot, something that's shaped like this. Okay, first thing, we have the oil in there. We're gonna add the sliced purple onion. Okay, and that's what you wanna hear. You do not wanna add the onions and then hear nothing. And not hear anything, because that means the oil is not hot enough, the pan is not hot enough. And what that's going to do is when you put the onions in, it's going to kind of absorb or soak up the oil versus create that kind of sear on the onions and that light caramelization, which is what we're going for. Can you guys see the pot okay? I think so. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just going to stir this. Remember, this is a stir fry. Everything cooks fast. And you're not looking to kind of turn things into mush. You know, you're not looking to completely soften these onions like I did for the potential future recipe of chana masala or chole.
All right. I'm looking forward to that one being demonstrated.
Yeah, that one was crazy. I'm just going to say it. It was really, really good. So I'd be happy to do that one. But anyway, it's just the difference in, you know, cooking things low and slow versus just high and fast, I guess, like really on high heat. Okay, so as this is all cooking, the next thing I'm going to do, so there's a couple ways you can do it. Sorry, did you have a question, Christine?
No, I'm just replying to them. So
okay,
I'm helping them out with some things.
Okay, so usually what I do is I always put the onions in first, and then I put in ginger and garlic, mainly because those tend to burn quicker and I don't really want things to burn. In this case, because you know things are cooking pretty fast anyway, what I'm going to do is put the ginger and garlic in, but only leave them in for like 45 seconds or so before I then add the beef in to bring the temperature of the wok down and then prevent the ginger and garlic from browning. I'm going to add a little bit of salt here, not too much because there is soy sauce going into this and I do not want to over salt this thing. And this already smells good because Like, what's not to love about just lightly fried onions? Okay. Okay, I can tell that they're getting a little bit softer, which is what I want. So next, I'm going to add in, not that, ginger, garlic, and green chilies, which I showed you earlier. The ginger and garlic are grated. My heat is on like medium high, maybe turn it down a little bit. And then I'm just gonna put this in. The funny thing is, like, I'm going through these. If you guys watch my other recipes, you'll probably notice that these 3 ingredients are in almost everything I make, like onions, ginger, and garlic. And it's partly because I love the flavor of them, and I feel like they make a really good base for a range of different recipes. And also because onions, ginger, and garlic are super common in Indian food, and I make a lot of Indian food. So
can you tell us again about your wok?
yeah, so this is, I got this on Amazon. I think it was like under 30 bucks. It's a non-stick wok. It's pretty large. So it has that surface area. It has the sloped sides so that you can kind of do that flippy thing, which I'm not going to attempt on today's call. But like, I've heard in theory it's possible. I've also seen videos. I'm going to use my spatula to avoid any issues.
Avoid any kind of accident or anything.
Exactly. All right, so now the next thing, and this is something I learned after making this and other kind of stuff where I add onions first and then the beef, and maybe something they teach you in culinary school so you don't have to learn this way, is I make a little well in the center of my pot, right? And then I want to put the meat in there. Before I just used to dump it on top of it and be like, why isn't it cooking evenly? And that's why. Okay.
Got to get that contact.
Yes, you have to get that contact. You want as much contact as possible. What is the best way to dump this in here? Okay, here's the ground beef.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Very elegantly.
Yes, and at this stage, I will say, when I like told my friends and family that I was doing this, several of them are vegetarians or they're vegan or they're, is there a difference between vegan and plant-based? I don't know, but there's some people that are like exclusively plant-based and all this. So I was like, okay, well, you can still join because the only thing that really makes this non-friendly or not friendly to that is the meat and possibly the fish sauce, which you can skip the fish sauce. Sometimes when I didn't used to add fish sauce, I would just use soy and that was fine.
Yeah.
And in lieu of the beef, you can use any kind of like crumbles. So I know Gardein is a brand that makes it. Beyond Meat is another one that makes it. Or Impossible. A lot of
there's so many alternative meat alternatives out there to really help those who want to live a plant-based lifestyle. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, there's so many, and I've made versions of this, maybe not with noodles. Maybe I make this exact, well, I'll get to that. But really the point is, you can add any kind of crumbles to this. It does not have to be beef. You can add chicken, you can add turkey, you can add soy, you can add tempeh, you can add, I think there's some other things.
You get crazy and add lamb, ground lamb.
You can add anything to it, really. Okay, so at this point, the interesting thing about this is, I see this as having potential for really becoming a bunch of different cuisines, right? You could add a bunch of like curry powder and turmeric and garam masala, cumin and coriander and make it something Indian. And you could serve it over rice, make a fried rice out of it. You could do what I'm doing now and add a bunch of Asian sauces and make it into an Asian dish. You could maybe add some, how do you say that, Worcestershire?
Worcestershire, yeah.
Worcestershire sauce and like make it that. You could add some Italian herbs and seasonings and use this as a topping for pizza, you know, or if you're too lazy to make pizza dough like me, you could buy naan or that kind of bread and kind of toast it up in the oven, lightly oil it and use this as a topping. I've done a version of that for one of my dinners that I hosted last year. So really see this as like onion, ginger, garlic, green chilies, salt and beef or protein, and then think of all the things you can do with it really. So I'm all about like not limiting to, you guys see Yara back there, like trying to climb up the window. All right. If she goes to the basement, guys, we're gonna have to take a break. I'm just telling you. I'm sorry I keep looking away. I'm just making sure she's not either peeing or something else. Okay, so you guys can see, it's really key to kind of cook this on high heat. Let me try turning this light on.
That's actually really helpful. Thank you.
Is that helpful? Okay, yes. Well, it's starting to get brighter, or it's starting to get dark.
I know, I'm not used to it being like this bright during Taste Talks.
I know, it's always dark. So, okay. The key here is you want to cook it on very high heat. I actually forgot and just turned it up. Because while you want the fat to kind of come out of the beef, you don't want it to get all watery and then steam in its own like water or liquid, you know, because that's what turns the beef that kind of unappetizing gray color, which you don't want. So if you cook it on high enough heat, the water is kind of evaporating as you're cooking it, and you'll be fine. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do is, oh, looks like I forgot to add that. All right. Well, sorry guys, we were supposed to add the light green and white parts of the scallions along with the ginger and garlic. That'll be in the recipe. I'm just gonna add it now. Just give it a quick toss. This already smells great. And like I said, you can use this for anything at this point. And then this seems like cooked enough. The next thing we're gonna do, oh, there's a little bit more in here. The next thing we're gonna do is add the sauce. So this is the stage at which, like I said, you decide what cuisine you want it to become. And I mentioned in here, there's soy, fish, a little bit of sriracha, and 2 kinds of soy. There's a mushroom soy and then a dark soy. So I'm just going to pour this in. And if you need, you can always, you know, what I do is I add the sauce in now so it gets absorbed into some of the meat. And then once I add the noodles in, I'll kind of taste it and see if it needs some more. And if it does, I'll add a little more of the soy or a little more of the fish. You really shouldn't be tasting fish. What I mean is the fish sauce to just give it that like extra layer of, you don't know what it is, but it makes it taste. Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Very hot. And you can tell when you add that in there, it's like just that richness of flavor comes through. And now you're like, oh, am I having noodles for dinner? Now you know that it's an Asian dish. Okay. Next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut up these packets of udon noodles. So they just look like this. They look kind of gross, but they actually make your life really easy. One thing you can do is you can kind of boil them a little bit and then put them in. I've had these kind of sitting out at room temperature. So I'm just gonna kind of open them up just like this. You see that? And then just add them to this and then toss it in this sauce itself. And that heat is going to be enough for the noodles to cook the level that you want them. Because again, you don't want them soggy. You want them like to have a little bit of bite to them. Then 2 of these packets here.
Yeah, those noodles are great because they're just so convenient to work with.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, when I was at the store, I asked the lady where I could find them. And she said I could find them. She was like, oh, do you want them in the fridge or freezer? And I didn't even know if you could get these in the freezer, but I guess you can. And so I'm just tossing this. You guys can see that well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. And it's like one of the things I love about this is once you do all the prep, as Christine knows, I kind of dawdled today and thought I had plenty of time, was working on other stuff. And then I was like, oh, I need to prep all these things. So this is the beauty of it is, and makes me think, you know, maybe I should prep things like this for all my recipes. But then I also think like, if I really calculated the time, does it take more or less time? But it certainly makes it so that you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
This. And it's definitely something I've learned from doing these classes is that, you know, I keep everything prepped. And so, because I also have to think about like, well, where am I looking? Where's the camera focusing at that time?
It's always good to have your mise en place all ready to go because it just makes such a smoother process once you start cooking.
Okay, so I can already tell the noodles are getting cooked. We're almost done here with this, actually. The last bit we're going to do is add some Shaoxing wine, which I did not add last time when I made it, but I'm adding it now because I felt like the last time I made it, it could really use a little like
brightness.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yara, can I help you? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? She's just like staring at the couch and barking. Sorry, guys. Okay. A little bit of Shaoxing wine. Again, you can get it at any kind of Asian grocery store. I might have actually, would you share that? I might have actually gotten it also on Amazon, maybe.
Asaf wants to know how you know when the noodles are ready.
Yeah, so they look a little less opaque to me. You know, when I took them out, they were kind of that. I wish I'd saved a piece. Oh, here's a little piece. Maybe we can compare these.
Yeah, they're kind of like a bright white when they're in the
part of this is the sauce. You know, part of it is the sauce, but I can tell from looking at them that they just look more translucent.
You can kind of tell by their wiggle too. Is that a technical term?
Yeah, add that to all the technical terms I've used here, including
the wiggle of the noodle.
Yeah, add that. Also, if you don't have a non-stick pan, you can use a stick pan. Like that was
right.
I really don't know what those are called. They just called like
just a pan.
Unless it specifies non-stick. Okay. Guys, that's basically it. That's basically it. Last thing I'm going to do, I know there's 2 green chilies in here, the smaller ones, which are spicier, but just for fun, I'm going to add a little bit of red pepper flakes. Heat is still on. I'm also going to add in the green parts of the scallions. Okay. Why not just a little bit? Okay. And then toss that. And that's it. I'm going to wait for it to cool down a little bit before I plate it up. But that's spicy beef udon noodles.
Does anyone have any questions? That's a great like weeknight dinner. So nice and simple. And like I said, a little bit of heat and everything definitely will keep you warm in the winter.
Oh, yeah, actually, one of the things I did right after we started was I went and turned the heat down because it's like super hot right by
the stove.
Yeah, right by this. Okay, so that's that one. Do you guys want to see, what time is it? Do you guys want to see another one?
She's got one more. She's got a little side dish she can make to go with it. Everyone want to see that? Get some thumbs up, some reactions from you guys. Yep, I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm seeing thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right, let's do yeah, so someone said, I just saw a question come through. How long does this take, like prep start to finish? Yara, stop eating that, please. Excuse me.
It's going to depend on how quickly you can, how good your knife skills are.
Yes, but I'd also say like, so how long did this take? So I was talking for a bit in the beginning and stuff. So let's even say this took like 20.
It wasn't even, yeah, like 10, 15 minutes, I think.
Okay, so let's say that it probably takes another like 15 minutes to prep.
Yeah, so
you know, like thing, and maybe a lot of people who are on here who know me will know. I've said this to several people in my life. The best $20 I ever spent was an onion chopper on Amazon. I'm usually not a fan of like gadgets that just do one thing because I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, why would I, like, what's so great about you kind of thing? But that thing is great. Like, it is the best $20 I've spent. You just cut the onion in half or in quarters and you just go like that. And does either a really small dice or a slightly bigger dice. That being said, I didn't use that today. I chopped everything by hand because I wanted the onions, you guys will see, I wanted the onions kind of sliced for this one and kind of really finely diced for the other. So I just kind of did it together. Okay, so let's move you guys back here for a second. You're gonna watch me do a little bit of prep. I'm gonna move all this over to this placemat. So this is for the next recipe. Oops. And what you're seeing here, actually, I'm just gonna go like this, and then I'm gonna show you the things one by one. Okay, so what we're gonna make as a side, because that's a pretty heavy, like carb, meat, oil, I guess, like a pretty like heavy dish. And it's always nice to have something a little lighter, a little fresher on the side. So I'm gonna make some baby bok choy. This was a last minute decision, even at the grocery store. Like I just saw them and I was like, they look good. Maybe they'll go. I'm gonna make them for dinner tonight anyway. So I figured if we have time, I can show you. So these are baby bok choy. They look pretty big to me, but here they are. I'm gonna get a chopping board. Here's this. And then what I'm gonna do is I've already rinsed them. And what I'm gonna do is cut them in half. So cut the water off and then just kind of cut them in half. And sometimes you can do them whole too, because remember these will really shrink because they have so much water in them. But look how pretty. Like look at that, that looks so nice. And another reason I'm chopping them is because I'm actually gonna be, I've made bok choy a few different ways, either just cutting them in half, tossing them in with garlic, whatever, and letting them steam and call it a day. But I'm gonna make it slightly fancier today, where I wanna get that kind of caramelization on one side of the bok choy. So what I'm gonna do is when I first start, I have another pan, which I'm gonna have on high heat with some oil, a mixture of vegetable and sesame oil, and I'll send this recipe along too. And then once I have that, I'm going to put the bok choy kind of cut side down. Do that for like a couple minutes, uncovered, with the pan uncovered. And then flip them and then add in kind of all of the aromatics after that. So wow, this is making me really happy just like looking at how these look. Look like little aliens or something. No. Okay. It's funny, guys. So my first dog, Mowgli, who's the love of my life, he passed away a couple of years ago, and he was this like fluffy guy. You know, he just never seemed to get cold ever. He was a Wheaten Terrier. He never got cold, except when it was 50 below, and he'd be like, my paw kind of hurts, and I was like, I'll allow it. So Yara, like, she's sitting right now right next to the heat vent. It's the place that
totally different dog, huh?
Like there's one of my fears was I was like, oh man, I don't want to replace, like there's no replacing. And he would avoid the heat vents like the plague, and she just seeks them out. You know, like if there's a blanket, she's there. If there's a pillow, she's there. So, okay, so these are all cut up. You saw me do part of the prep for this. I left that because I was like, I don't know if I'll have time, but okay. Let's get started with that. Let me see how I'm gonna start prepping that. Let me put a little bit of oil. So I'm gonna take you back over here. Move locations of these pots a little bit. Okay. So here you go. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Was it clear the way I did it last time? It was like,
yeah, the last time was pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So here's the pot. I'm actually gonna move this. So I don't burn myself. Also, another thing, I'm not covering the noodles right now because I don't want them to keep cooking. You know, I do not, even though I've turned the heat off, there's still heat being conducted from the pan. And it's also even moving it from the burner where it was, because there's still heat being conducted through that. And don't want to cover it because I don't want them to get chewy, but it'll be okay. All right. So we're going to start with, I'm going to turn on the heat first. I'm going to start with a mixture of vegetable oil and sesame oil. So usually sesame oil is actually something that I'll add later on, because is the right phrase that it has a high, does it have a high smoke point, sesame oil?
I think it has a low smoke point.
Has a low, oh, meaning it heats up quick. Yes. So things burn and I don't want that. But here I kind of want the sesame oil flavor to get onto that cut side of the bok choy. So I'm gonna add a little bit. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't burn. A little bit, almost out. Okay. And then once this heats up, we are gonna start, I'm gonna show you the ingredients that we're gonna use. Like I said, you could just put in a little oil, put in the bok choy with some like minced garlic, a little bit of salt, and that's it. You really don't have to do much to it, and it tastes fantastic. But I'm like zhuzhing it a little bit today. And so what I have here is really finely diced or minced, I guess, red onion. And again, because we cut the bok choy in half, I want these bits to kind of get into the little grooves of the bok choy so that every time you're taking a bite, you're tasting a little bit of all of the aromatics that we're putting in. Okay, I'm gonna swirl it around and make sure it's evenly coated because I'm gonna cover this serving. I wonder if I have to do this in 2 batches, we'll see. All right, so we are going to start off, probably should have dried these on the outside. Maybe you should do that. Dry them on the outside so that it doesn't kind of splatter when it first hits the oil, which is something that might happen now. So just hopefully she's not pooping somewhere in the house. Okay. Oh, hi, Yara. She's just emerged from the basement. So I'm making a mental note to be like,
gotta check that.
unclear what's happened. Again, you want to put this in a single layer, guys, because you don't want things to steam. You know, the whole point is you're trying to get that sear. So just this, I'm going to do it in batches. We have like 6 more pieces left. We'll do that in the next batch. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes.
When should you add the onions?
So what I'm going to do is once it caramelizes a little bit,
okay,
I'm going to flip it over and then add the onions.
Got it.
I've done it before too. I could have added the onions and put it on, but I basically wanted the bok choy to have direct contact with the hot surface. So that's why I did it. Okay, and while we're doing that, while this cooks, why don't I taste the udon noodles? Super hot. See? Like A-. I need something. I almost wonder if I've added a little more of the Shaoxing wine than I wanted. So, but it's still very good. And I try adding a little more heat to it. Kind of try to balance that out, but I'm going to leave it for now. It's always tempting to like flip it over and see how done it is, right? You know you're not supposed to. Yeah. Okay, does anyone have any questions about?
Yeah, folks, any questions about the udon noodles or any questions on the bok choy right now?
Sorry, what did you say, Christine?
I said, anyone have any questions on the udon dish or on the bok choy that she's getting right now? No, I think we're set. I think everyone's doing good so far.
Okay. All right.
So it's not so difficult to find Asian ingredients anymore. So it's
if you live in Chicago, no.
Yeah.
If you really live in any major city, City, if you live in Atlanta, if you live in New York, no. But the beauty of it is, even if you can't find it, go to like a store, like I went to H Mart, you can get all of these things on Amazon. You know, you can buy like the Shaoxing wine, you can buy fish sauce, you can buy like this mushroom sauce. Guys, I used to just use the regular soy, and then I switched to this mushroom soy sauce based on a recommendation. And I love it. Like, it's totally different than the regular soy, to the point where I'm debating whether I need to keep both on hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I need to have a streak of like at least 3 A+ dishes before I can allow myself. Okay, see that? This is what I'm looking for. A little bit of browning on the underside. I'm gonna leave it for a little bit more. And then I'm gonna do the next batch. So while I do the next batch, I'm gonna just take these out and put them on a separate plate. Oops, sorry.
Okay, so we have a question. Is there a reason you don't break it into leaves and you only just cut it in half?
Why I don't take apart the leaves, you mean?
Yeah.
So if I did that, I wouldn't be able to do this. Because if they're just like this way, they're a little more robust. If I broke them up into leaves, which I have done before, like into the individual stalks thingy, right?
Yeah.
I've done that when I've done like a quick stir fry where I'm adding it at the end to something, and it works that way. But here, if I did that here, like they kind of wither pretty quick and they get kind of mushy, which is not what I'm going for.
Yeah, and some of the beauty with bok choy, like either keeping it whole or cutting it in half, you get this really there's this real satisfaction in eating that bold portion of it.
Yeah.
The real meat of that vegetable.
Yeah.
Is in the base of it. It's all about that like bold and getting, you know, especially, you know, if it was to be a plant-based dish, everything was vegetarian that we're eating, that gives you that like extra little bit of satisfaction of cutting into something too.
Okay, but look at this.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right? Like, that's why I'm doing this. You know, really, I could just put them all in, toss them, and then get a bigger pan if I had one. And then not deal with that. But this is what I'm looking for. You don't want it to burn, but you do want some caramelization, which again, Christine, adds to what you're talking about the biting into that bulb is a textural thing. This is also a textural thing. So I'm going to add a little bit more, not too much sesame, but just left. A little bit more of the vegetable oil. And this time around, it should heat up pretty quick because the pan's already hot. Okay. Coat it, and again, be mindful of splatter just because some of the water from the bok choy might still be in there. All right. Oh, hi. You guys can't see her, but she's like leaning against the leg. Okay. This. And this round should go by quicker. So I also never used to make any kind of Chinese greens. Like when I go to dim sum, and they'd always have these like delicious sides, and like even not dim sum, even just getting like Chinese food, you could always get the sides, you know, the spinach or the Chinese broccoli, or
the gailan, oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah, but if you do that, you're kind of like comparing. At least I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could make it like this. But it turns out it's actually quite simple, you know, cooking it pretty quickly. What I'm doing today this might seem like it's taking a lot of time, but really, if you want bok choy, you don't have to sear the underside. I'm just showing you a different way that you could do it if you want it.
Mm-hmm. You're just gussing up our bok choy.
What was that?
You're gussing up our bok choy.
That's right.
Giving it the fancy treatment.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm just going to pop this meat back in the fridge. I'll be right back.
if you recreate any of the recipes or anything that we do here in the Taste Talks, we would love to see pictures. Please feel free to send us pictures at taste@nl at n. I can't even talk today, at nlu.edu. Or, you know, if you've made a beautiful dish from this and you feel like posting it on Instagram, we would love for you to tag Kendall College in it too. So please share what you guys have been learning, and you can definitely share about the Taste Talks with other people. We would love more people to enjoy these with us and not keep it a little secret all the time.
Yeah, it was great hearing that someone actually made the cauliflower taco. So
I know, I'd love to see pictures of things that people make from these. So
yeah, especially because, like, you know, I do this all the time. I mean, you think it's going to take a long time to make something or take a lot of prep, but sometimes when the time you like go through the menu on takeout, make something or get it delivered, you could make something. And then I always say, like, you know what's in there. You know, if I didn't want, like, I don't love the taste of Sichuan peppercorns. That's something you could add if you wanted to the udon noodles. If you like that. I don't like that tingling sensation, usually because when it's overdone, it's not palatable. But if you want that, you can add it. You can leave it out. You can really just customize to your taste, which is my favorite thing. Okay. All right, these are getting done too. I'm going to take these out now. And not all of them need to be, you know, browned to the same level. Some of this, again, might be my pan, or I had it uneven on the stove. Okay, so you'll see what I have here is all the bok choy just kind of laid like that. And now I'm going to get on with the next step, which is going to be actually cooking up, making the flavor base for the bok choy. Okay. All right. So we're going to start, and there's already a good amount of, I don't think we need too much more, but maybe just a little bit so the onion doesn't burn. A little bit of oil. And now it's pretty easy. Really, we're done with the hard part, if you want to call it that, waiting, which is the hard part. So I'm going to add all these onions. So this is like a medium purple onion or red onion, whatever you want to call it. And it's already hot, so you don't have to wait too long. Again, don't add it when the oil isn't heated up. You'll end up with soggy onions. Next thing I'm going to do is, well, and I can already smell the onions. So I know that the pan is hot. I know that I don't want to keep this kind of cooking for too long. I'm going to need a little bit more. And don't be afraid about this oil, guys. Like, it looks like I had just added like a cup of oil. I didn't. I swear it's like a couple tablespoons. Yeah, that's better. This way, it's not gonna burn. Okay. Again, the idea here is not to get this to be super soft. You just want to cook it lightly so that that rawness from the onion is gone. I mean, there are obviously times when I like that feeling of a raw onion to have that additional pungency, maybe in a sandwich or maybe as a topping for like pav bhaji or chana masala, like I was saying I made before, but not here. So, and then there's also like pickled onions. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that separately too, but not here. Okay, so now that this is done, the next thing I'm going to add is ginger garlic. You're going to look familiar in terms of the things we've added. This is another thing I'm a fan of doing is making accompaniments that use like 90% of the same ingredients, because that way you're not taking multiple things out of the fridge. You don't have to put multiple things back. You can chop everything at once. And that's why so far, if you look at what we're making here, you might assume we're making the beef. You know, it's chopped differently, grated.
They're gonna pair so well together then because of the similarities.
I'm a fan of doing this. I think I've mentioned before, I like kind of cooking the same ingredient in different ways or introducing multiple formats of the same ingredient that adds to kind of that dimension in the food. Okay. Again, you don't want to cook it for too long because the ginger and the garlic is actually going to cook up pretty fast. How are we doing on time, Christine?
We're doing all right.
Pretty good. Okay. Okay. The next thing we're going to add, my little cheat sheet. Yes. Okay. Another thing that's good to add here is we have some white and light green parts of the scallions. We're going to add that. Nothing different from the last recipe so far. You know, if you got really lazy, I was just thinking about it. And if you think this would save you time, you could cook all of the onion, ginger, garlic, white and light green parts of the scallion together and then just divide it up and add it to each dish. If you wanted to do that and figure out kind of the right time to
pull it out of the first pan.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that. This already smells great, but interestingly, it doesn't smell like the beef. Maybe it's because I'm kind of getting the waft from the bok choy sitting here too.
Someone asked, did you add salt already?
No, I'm gonna add it actually once I add the bok choy back in. I realized when I do this before that if I add the salt when I first caramelize, it doesn't caramelize the way I want it to because all of the water.
Pulling the water out.
Yeah, I'm pulling the water out and then it's starting to steam, you know, but I want to kind of caramelize it. So I'm going to add the bok choy back in and then I'm going to add in the salt. But we're also going to be adding a little bit of, like sesame oil and rice vinegar and things like that. So let me show you this. That's the next step. Actually, if you see this, I just have a mixture of stuff here, and that is sesame oil, honey, and rice vinegar. That's all this is. So I'm actually going to add this to the pan really quick. And this, you want to be careful because there's honey in there. It is going to kind of burn kind of quickly. So all I'm going to do is swirl it around, turn down the heat. And at this stage is where it's different than the udon noodles because there's rice vinegar, there's honey, you're introducing that sweetness and a different kind of acidity. Okay, and now we are going to also, actually what the heck, we're gonna add some red pepper flakes again.
We are fans of the heat here, so.
Fans of the heat. And then in the other one, I added like green chilies and red pepper flakes. That may be too much for some people, it may not be enough, so just adjust to your taste. And I like that there's two kinds of heat in there because you can always add like the green chilies, taste it, and if it's not spicy enough, instead of adding raw green chilies, you could add the red pepper flakes, and that still adds heat and just a different kind of flavor. All right, now we are going to put the bok choy back in the pan. And these have shrank.
Reduced?
Huh?
They reduced down inside.
They reduced. Yeah. They have reduced. They have reduced, shrunken. Yeah, and they definitely have because I'm able to fit more of them in this.
Fit them all in there, yeah.
Thank you, Christine.
I'm here.
Again, I would say don't overcrowd, but I'm kind of doing that. Basically because I don't want to do this in 2 batches.
And then when you put them back in, put them cut side down again, right? So that they can make that contact.
Yeah, I kind of want that to go in there. Turn the heat back up a little bit. And then once it kind of absorbs in a little, I might toss them a little bit soon to get it coated all around. And at this stage, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And I forgot there's actually no soy sauce in there. So you can go a little And again, be mindful of what kind of salt you're using. If it's table salt, it's like a higher salinity than other kinds of salt. This happens to be sea salt. Since there's no soy, and since I know there's a lot of bok choy in here, I'm just kind of determining the amount of salt I add. Okay. Yeah, I almost don't want to eat it. Look how perfect it fits in that pan.
I know.
All right, so now we're going to toss. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the great caramelization in there. Oh my gosh, so nice.
Yeah, you have the, is it called caramelization even when it's like the Maillard reaction, no? When I put the bok choy kind of cut side down and it kind of browned that way.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's doing another type of browning or cooking with the honey.
Yeah.
So I can really smell that little bit of sweetness in the bok choy. And the reason I say this may not be kind of your traditional, like easy, well, I don't think this is actually that hard, but like,
No.
and look at how much that's reduced. And now all the water is coming out. So to the question before, if I had added water, I would not have gotten that browning on the bottom of the thing. Okay.
Okay, and then I was thinking you would just eat this bok choy by itself.
So I usually make this as an accompaniment to something more carb heavy that I'm eating, as a lighter, fresher, crunchier alternative, because this is obviously a different texture than the rice and the noodles. If you wanted to just make this, I've thought about, but I haven't done this yet, making kind of like if you make a salad, for example, and you want some kind of crunch in it and you want some kind of flavor in it, you could make bok choy this exact flavor and toss it with like some spinach, toss it with some, you could make like a ginger honey dressing, toss it with some spinach and add this bok choy and then add a protein of your choice. And that could be a meal,
Mm-hmm.
So you can eat it by itself, but then it's also nice like to bulk up a salad or to bulk up your meal in general.
Yeah, and something like a vegetable side like this is so perfect with like any kind of Asian rice or noodle dish.
Yeah,
It's nice to have that like that vegetable kind of like refreshment and from all the carbs and other things involved.
Yes. Okay, so this is done, guys. Like I don't want this to, you'll see the leaves have wilted, which is expected. I'd be worried if they didn't wilt. But this is going to get that texture that Christine was talking about, where you bite into it and you get into that bulb and it's not mushy and it's not soggy and you get an actual crunch from it. And the coolest part about that is some of these onions and garlic and ginger and sauce, you're going to get like a little like spray of juice from the bulb of it. I should really look up like you're gonna get a little like squirt of juice from the inside of the bulb, and
you're gonna enjoy the juices that come, the natural juices that come from the
yes,
the
that emanate from the bok choy,
the natural liquids. Okay, we're gonna go down a road here.
Yeah, I know. Think of like a soup dumpling, I guess.
Yes. Oh, I like that. Someone said a flavor bomb. Yes.
Flavor bomb. Yes.
Flavor bomb. I'm on board with that. So.
Yeah. So that's it, guys.
Yeah.
So,
does anyone have any questions? Yes, you can eat this with plain basmati rice. I mean, a nice, simple meal.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a close up. Here's what we made: the spicy beef udon noodles.
Yum.
And here's what we're going to eat with it, which is the sauteed bok choy. And the key thing is we used a lot of the same ingredients in both of them. And I really encourage you to kind of try to make things that do that. If you're looking for recipes online, and sometimes like everyone has some, it ingredient or some secret ingredient, like you don't need a secret ingredient. Right? You can really just use the things that you have and be like, all right, I have onion, ginger, garlic, I have soy sauce, I have sesame oil. What can I make? And this is what happens. You know, I didn't find a recipe for this somewhere. I tried it and it came out at various stages of excellence, not excellence, but just like how good it was. No, but it's fun to do, you know, and then you can, here I showed you bok choy. If you can't find bok choy, don't like bok choy, don't want bok choy, you can always add, you can do this similar kind of sauce and onion, ginger, garlic, and the rice vinegar and all this. Do this exact thing, but use like Chinese broccoli. You know, use spinach. The cooking times are going to be different. You may not be like searing one side of those, but the whole point is that you're able to adapt with what you have and not feel like, unless you can get to the grocery store today and buy exact ingredients, you can't make something. So yeah, well, that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Sruthi.
Yeah.
I'm going to have these recipes available tomorrow. In fact, I will send them out to the entire Taste email list. So if you are not on it, which if you're not, thanks for being here today. But if you're not on it, please email us at taste@nl.edu. And thank you so much, Sruthi.
Wait, I just remembered one last thing.
Okay.
Sesame seeds.
We're
gonna add that.
Yes.
To the top of the bok choy.
Well, even more texture in there. So.
Yeah, even more texture, and you can see what it looks like now. You know, sometimes you could use toasted sesame seeds. I just happen to have a jar of toasted sesame seeds that I've had for I don't know how long, so that goes in there too.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, everyone. I am just double checking when our next Taste Talk is going to be a week from today. Next Tuesday, we will have Lydia Burns, our resident cheesemonger, with us, talking to us about the dish Rarebit and a similar related dish to it, Blushing Bunny. So she's going to talk a little bit about making Rarebit, but also some of the background and history of that dish as well. So I'm really excited for that one myself. That may have been my personal suggestion, but yeah. Anyone have any questions or want to say anything before we wrap it up? No? Everyone good? Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everyone.